This morning, over half of Wisconsin under fire warnings. How you can stay safe.
Plus, how House Republicans unveiling their long-awaited budget bill, what taxes they're scrapping.
And a whirlwind week for U.S. travel, how problems are being solved in Newark, and what to expect this Memorial Day weekend.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to News 3 Now this morning on a Tuesday. I'm Kyrie Lee.
I'm Chris Stanford. Jacob Montesano at the desk with us this morning. And, you know, it's been a while since we've gotten some rain. Like, it feels, Jacob, I don't have the numbers or anything. You would know better. Like, we've had a drier spring than we normally would.
Yeah. We had above normal precipitation in March. April was a little bit below normal. We haven't had rain since the first Saturday of this month. We had a lot of rain the first 3 days, but yeah, the last week and a half, we haven't had a single drop of rain, at least in Madison.
Yeah, so we're keeping our eye on the fire danger for you this morning. Over half of Wisconsin's counties are under at least a very high fire warning. Right now, Marquette and Greene counties are under very high fire risk. We're pulling up the DNR's fire danger map here to give you an idea of the situation across the state. So Columbia, Sauk, Iowa, and Grant, they're under a high fire risk. Dane, Greene, Rock, Jefferson, and Dodge counties are under a moderate fire risk. Meanwhile, counties in the northern part of the state, they are under extreme fire risk.
Right now, crews in Juneau County are working to find the cause of a fire that burnt 80 acres. That blaze has since been contained. Fire crews and the DNR spent yesterday working to contain the fire. It led to the DNR to recommend about 40 households in the town of Mather to evacuate. This comes after the DNR had put out an alert urging people not to do any burning.
To check with the DNR on our information about fires and making sure that you know when or when you can't burn and checking with all that.
The fire did burn 80 acres, but no structures were damaged and no injuries have been reported.
All right, let's check in now with Jacob Montesano to get an idea of what we have in store for us moving ahead and a little more on that fire danger. Jacob.
Yeah, right now for today, there are red flag warnings across much of Minnesota and the Dakotas, not in Wisconsin, but that does not mean there is not a fire risk. Now, we may continue to see these fire risks for the next couple of days as there will just be minimal precipitation. And my guess is the fire risk will peak early Thursday, where we'll still be dry and also windy, with the rain Thursday evening maybe helping that. Now, the next 2 days for southern Wisconsin, although it will be warm and fairly dry, we're not going to see a lot of wind, which is why the fire risk isn't as great here in the southern portion of the state. Now, we are very mild this morning, lower 60s and upper 50s already, but we are seeing a little bit of some shower activity move into our area. Right now, some showers around Milwaukee, very light, and a lot of it is actually dissipating a little bit as it gets closer to our area. We can see some of that shower activity right there. And throughout the morning, we may continue to see some light showers push through our area. Maybe a few isolated storms as well might continue into the early afternoon, but overall, a lot of the area should be fairly dry for much of the day. But there is that alert day Thursday. I'll talk more about that coming up a bit later.
All right, we'll talk to you then, Jacob. Now to some developing news on a fire in Watertown. The scene is now clear. Jefferson County Sheriff's Department confirming the fire is on Wakota Street. We still don't know if there are any injuries or exactly what the scope of the damage is. Photo here from a viewer shows some thick smoke billowing from the building. We'll have any updates on channel3000.com.
House Republicans unveiled their long-awaited tax plan. It includes some of President Donald Trump's campaign promises. They are scrapping federal taxes on tips, overtime pay, and car loan interest. The bill also calls on Congress to raise the debt limit for several more years. Congress needs to act before its August recess, or the country could technically default on its debt. Another part of the legislation would extend the president's tax cuts enacted in 2017. Most of those provisions are set to expire. Now, one part of the bill still unresolved is the battle over state and local taxes. Some Republican members want to raise the current cap on deductions from $10,000 to $30,000 a year. Other GOP members want the cap even higher. Congressional Republican leaders say they want to deliver their budget bill to the president's desk by July 4th.
Happening today, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics is set to release their Consumer Price Index for April. Data provider FactSet forecasts that consumer prices will have risen 2.4% in April compared with the year earlier. That's the same as in March. It's also down 3% from the start of this year. Today's report could provide an early read on how Trump's tariffs will affect the prices that Americans pay for a range of consumer goods. Currently, economists are forecasting the impact from added duties to be modest. We are keeping our eye on the markets this morning. In overnight trading on Wall Street, Dow futures are down 157 points, or about 0.37%. S&P futures are down 0.2%, and NASDAQ futures are down the same. We'll keep an eye on things and report anything worthy right here.
American Airlines is adding a nonstop flight from Madison to New York City. The service will complement Delta Airlines' existing daily trips to the Big Apple. Just within the last month, the Dane County Regional Airport announced other nonstop flights to major cities, including services to Los Angeles International Airport starting on May 21st. Dane County Regional now offers nonstop flights to 17 destinations around the country. United Airlines is saying that their policies and procedures can, quote, handle any problems when it comes to flights, and that United will never compromise on safety. This comes as flying in and out of Newark International Airport has been the opposite of smooth sailing. Recent air traffic control outages have led to cases of lack of communication between flight crews and the tower there. United officials are praising the Department of Transportation's plan to update air traffic control systems nationwide and boost controller staffing.
Meanwhile, millions of Americans are getting ready to head out for Memorial Day weekend. AAA estimates more than 45 million people will travel at least 50 miles from home from Thursday, May 22nd to Monday, the 26th. That would set a new Memorial Day travel record. Previous one was set 2 decades ago in 2005 when 44 million people took a trip.
Construction in Portage has left a bit of a maze for people to navigate. With the main road out of commission, locals have been going down side streets to get around. Signs and social media posts are attempting to inform people where to reroute to avoid Wisconsin Street. But the good news for businesses on the street, they all have back doors. And those doors have eliminated much of the need for people to use the main road.
It's going to be a challenge for a little while, but thankfully it's only a couple short months.
It's not going to last forever. We'll be fine. People will find us if we've done a good enough job.
The plan includes installing new utility lines before fully resurfacing the road. Portage and the DOT expect the project to be completed by mid-August.
Dozens of white South Africans have been granted refugee status by the Trump administration here in the U.S. The administration has worked to speed up the refugee process for the Afrikaners, the white minority that ruled South Africa during apartheid. The Trump administration has accused South Africa's black majority government of violence and discrimination against them. President Trump made the unsupported claims they're victims of genocide. The South African group arrived yesterday. Comes while the Trump administration has, for at least now, suspended efforts to resettle refugees from other countries around the world.
This week, the Supreme Court will hear a case that ties to the Trump administration's plan to end birthright citizenship. The Supreme Court previously deferred the president's request that would have allowed him to enforce the plan. Now, the justices will hear arguments about the request to restrict orders by lower court judges. That could impact the citizenship case. Thursday's hearing will offer the first Supreme Court oral arguments over any second-term Trump initiative since the president's inauguration. 2 lifelong Janesville residents are pledging over $1 million to support the Future Children's Museum of Rock County. It's part of a kickoff for the museum's Transform Tomorrow campaign. Steve and Marlene Bystad, residents and active community members, are giving a total of $1.5 million to the museum. On top of that, they're looking to match a dollar for dollar. They say they'll match up to $500,000 from now until the end of August. The museum says the kickoff of its Transform Tomorrow campaign was brought on with the Bystad's contribution.
Madison Festival is set to electrify the local music scene once again. Ty Christian's Mad with Power Fest is drawing in heavy metal enthusiasts from around the world. What started in 2017 as a reaction to festival booking practices has grown into North America's largest power metal festival.
But what we're trying to do is we're really trying to put it on the map in terms of power metal, thrash metal, traditional heavy metal, and just metal in general. Because it really only takes, I've found it really only takes like one person, one band to kind of do the work to make a scene a scene.
The festival will feature 12 bands this year. There will also be unlimited arcade games available to play at the Sylvie. It runs from June 6th to the 7th. The shows are all ages.
All right, lots going on. Well, let's check on with Jacob. What's coming up?
Well, we're going to see some pretty nice weather today and over the next couple of days, but a big cool down is on the horizon. I'll talk about that coming up after the break.
You're watching watching News 3 Now this morning. Moving forward.
Welcome back. In the 608 this morning, the Dairyland Games are back in Verona this week. This event offers athletes with disabilities an opportunity to compete in track, field, swimming, and powerlifting across a 3-day competition. Joining me now is Deb Jinks of Dairyland Sports and Hayden Smith, an athlete in the games. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Glad to have you two here. So first and foremost, Deb, this is the 8th annual Dairyland Games. So for those who aren't familiar, can you tell us about Dairyland Sports and how it got started?
Yeah, so we got started, Adaptive Sports Junior Nationals was here in 2016, 2017, and we saw a need because there was not a qualifying event in the state of Wisconsin for adaptive sports and to compete in nationals. So we started in 2016 with a track meet and 25 athletes, and we've grown to a 3-day event involving the para powerlifting, swimming, and track and field.
Wow, what an amazing thing. And Hayden, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got into adaptive sports?
Yeah, so I was a part of the first Dairyland Games in 2016. I just did track in my everyday chair. I was about 8 years old, but it introduced me to the world of adaptive sports. And I've gone on to do swim, track, I've tried powerlifting, I play sled hockey, and now I compete in track and field and swimming with my high school.
Wow, that's amazing. And so, Deb, I know a lot of planning goes into something like this. So are you still looking for volunteers? What do you all need to help this be a success?
Yes, this is, as I said, a 3-day event, and we have a lot going on. So we do need a few more volunteers, so you can go to our website at dairylandsports.org. And we really would love to see you out, also coming out and cheering on these athletes.
Yes. And Hayden, what would be your message to maybe those with disabilities who are looking to get into something like this?
I would just say look to find what you're into, because these adaptive sports do exist, and it's a really good opportunity not only to compete in something fun, but also to socialize and find some new friends.
Absolutely. And of course, we want people to come out and support. So can you give us the when, the where, and how people can get there?
Yeah, so we're at Verona High School this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's Friday night powerlifting, Saturday morning swim, and all day Sunday is track and field.
All right, so lots of events for people to see and cheer on.
Yes, Come on out.
All right. Well, Deb and Hayden, we want to thank you both so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. And of course, we will have this story and all the details you need to know up on our website. That's channel3000.com. And of course, Josh isn't here today, but please let him know what inspires you in the 608. You can reach out either on social media or email us at in the608@wisc-tv.com for a chance to be featured. Let's check in with Jacob. Good morning.
Good morning, Kyrian. Here's a look at the 3 things you need to know. Warm temperatures are going to continue through Thursday, where highs will be near 80 degrees. But then for Thursday, we are expecting those strong storms, which will cool the temperatures down for the weekend. And the potential for strong to severe storms has prompted us to put out an alert day for Thursday afternoon and evening. So it will be dry to start the day, with that dry weather kind of fueling the severe weather for later in the day. There's a slight risk for severe weather for much of the area, marginal risk further southwest, but everyone will likely see the chance of severe weather for Thursday evening. And the most likely hazards will be strong winds and large hail, but we can't rule out an isolated tornado either. So let's take a look at that rainfall forecast. For today, we'll see a few light showers, maybe an isolated storm or two, but most of the area shouldn't see any rain for a long period of time. If you do see rain, it will be very brief and for the most part very light, but the chance of rain may continue into the afternoon and evening, but again, we won't see much. Now for Wednesday, it'll be pretty similar to today, although we're going to see a little bit more sunshine, and the rain chance will be even smaller, with most of the area not seeing anything, but can't rule out just a passing shower here or there. And then for Thursday, like I mentioned, we're going to start out dry, and we'll start out sunny through the afternoon hours. With the later afternoon hours, we'll start to see those showers and storms move into the western portion of our area, and they'll continue to push across our region from west to east from around 4 to 8 p.m. Right around 6 to 7 looks to be the most likely time for those storms in Dane County, and around 7 to 8 for areas just to the east. Now, once we get to the later evening hours, it'll impact Milwaukee, and later into the evening and to the early overnight hours, those storms will push off into Lake Michigan, but they will bring in the chance for that severe weather. And after those storms clear through, temperatures will be a lot colder. Highs will be in the lower 70s Friday, 60s for the weekend and next week. Could even see a few days where highs will be in the upper 50s. And for now, it looks like those cooler than average temperatures that we're going to see next week, they may continue into the extended forecast with those below normal temperatures expected for the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook across our area. So we will see more kind of spring-like temperatures for the weekend and next week, not necessarily the summer-like temperatures we'll see through Thursday, but obviously the 80s will eventually return at some point, but just for the foreseeable future, looks like we'll get a break from them from Friday through the end of the 10-day forecast at least.
All right, thanks for the update. Cancer is the leading cause of death among children in the U.S.
It's a devastating diagnosis that comes with a hefty price tag. But at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee, that treatment is free, all thanks to donations. 16-year-old Eloise Mahoney from right here in Madison was diagnosed with a brain tumor when she was 12. The diagnosis was a life-changing and terrifying event, not only for her, but her mother.
It feels impossible. It feels impossible. It's not supposed to happen. We're in the hospital. Our kid just had brain surgery and trying to figure out what we do next. Then she said, you qualify for the study in St. Jude, I'll take you. And everybody said, go to St. Jude. That's what you do.
St. Jude in Memphis has treated children from more than 200 countries around the world. For Eloise, it became a home away from home.
It's a place of community. It's a place where you know that all the kids there are like going through the same thing, and all the parents can know that all the parents are going through the same thing.
Eloise and her mom spent months living at St. Jude for her outpatient care and free housing. Now she goes back every 6 months for checkups. Yesterday was the 3-year anniversary of Eloise finishing her chemotherapy treatment.
Right.
So what a milestone to celebrate. And I'm just glad to see her on the other side of this thing, because it is a devastating thing. But
cannot imagine one of my kids going through something like this. Yeah. And when you're trying to, keep your baby healthy, keep your baby alive, the last thing you want to do is worry about how to pay for it all.
Right.
How are we going to take care of this next bill? And they cover all of it there through the generosity of all the donations.
Yes.
So it can't be done without all the people who support St. Jude. Good to see Eloise
thriving.
Yeah.
Looking good.
What a good milestone.
I love it.
Life is precious. Still ahead, some bad news for the jockey that just won the Kentucky Derby and a chance to see some summer flicks for less.
And coming up in our next half hour, a new degree option at UW-Madison. Find out what it is and how it supports the university's legacy.
Before we head to break, here are your gas prices.
This photo is from Jennifer. She says, why so early? So this is her sharing her morning this morning. I understand, early mornings.
Man, she's got some company.
Yes, wide awake, looking right into the camera.
Well, one's wide awake, one's taking a nap. I didn't even know
a little cat nap.
Oh.
I didn't even notice the cat until a little bit later.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Yeah, I'm just now seeing the ball there.
Thanks, Jennifer. Trending this morning, the winning jockey in this year's Kentucky Derby is in a bit of trouble this morning. Officials say that jockey Junior Alvarado overused his whip during the race. Regulations state clearly that a jockey can only use the whip 6 times during a race, and Alvarado did it 8 times. The Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Authority issued a suspension and a $62,000 fine. The safety group says it's the second time in the past 6 months that Alvarado violated the rule.
Now the question is, did the horse get disqualified?
That's a great question.
Doesn't sound like it.
Doesn't sound like it. But I know that not running in the Preakness that's coming up, the second round in the Triple Crown. But there you go.
But does this change things for people who made bets? I know people who made bets and they were very upset. So I don't know if this changes things.
Good question. Hey, we're trying to help you save some money this summer. If you're thinking about going to the movies, I got some really big blockbuster movies coming out this summer. AMC announcing that it's slashing the price of adult movie tickets by 50% on Wednesdays. It's going to start on July 9th. You got to be a member, though, and this is Kyrion's favorite, of their rewards program to get the price. The movie chain already offers discounts on Tuesdays for their stub members. The company has not said how long the promotion on Wednesdays is going to run or if it's a permanent change. Let's see, we got the new Superman coming out after this discount takes effect. Got the new Fantastic Four coming out. A bunch of big blockbusters on the schedule for late summer this year.
Yeah, so take advantage of this Tuesdays and Wednesdays. There you go.
You can take the kids.
Yeah, if you want to.
Gosh, kids in the movie theaters these days, it's just like, oh man. This morning, President Trump begins his trip in the Middle East, what he's planning to do and who he's meeting with.
Plus, new developments in the Abundant Life Christian School shooting, the latest on the shooter's father.
And if you're thinking of getting your driveway repaved or maybe some concrete patched up, we'll have a scam to warn you about. Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in to News 3 Now this morning. I'm Chris Stanford.
And I'm Kyrionn Lee. Thanks for waking up with us this morning. I will say it has been very pleasant to feel these warmer temperatures, and especially this morning walking out.
So nice. It feels like a day in mid-July.
Yeah, this
August.
is the type of energy I need moving forward. This is what I need.
It's not all warm temps in the forecast. Let's check in with Jacob Montesano in your first warm forecast. Certified, most accurate, 5 years running.
Don't forget it.
Don't forget it. Hey, Jacob.
Hey, Chris. Yeah, right now we are seeing some pretty comfortable temperatures, lower 60s already for a lot of the area, and those that aren't in the 60s are well into the 50s. Quite a bit warmer compared to this time yesterday, almost by 20 degrees for Madison, but everyone at least around 5 to 12 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. Now, we are seeing a few showers move through the area. These showers, though, are very light, and they are dissipating just a little bit as they push into the region. But right now we could see some of those showers in Jefferson and Dodge counties at the moment. They're going to continue to push through the area, but overall bringing some pretty light precipitation, and much of the area, if you do see rain, it will be very brief. A lot of places may not see any rain at all today, but a few isolated showers, maybe a storm or two are possible through the afternoon and maybe even into the evening. But again, we're not going to see much during the day, not going to be a big issue. We are going to see a little bit more cloud cover, which will cause temperatures to be just a little bit cooler compared to yesterday, but still very comfortable, as highs will be in the middle to upper 70s. And we could still see a few 80s for areas off to the west, especially closer to La Crosse. Now, we're going to see more 80s for Wednesday and Thursday, but we have an alert day Thursday for possible severe weather. I'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit.
All right, we'll talk to you then. This morning, President Donald Trump is in Saudi Arabia kicking off his 4-day visit to the Middle East. He will soon attend an investment summit.
Executives expected from several major companies, including Nvidia, Citigroup, and Uber. He wrapped up a visit with Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince. The main focus is business investment. The president also hinted at a possible detour to Turkey if Ukrainian and Russian officials move forward with high-stakes peace talks there on Thursday.
This comes after Hamas released the last living American citizen taken hostage in Gaza in what's being called a goodwill gesture. After 584 days in captivity, Edon Alexander is now free. The 21-year-old holds American and Israeli citizenship. He moved to Israel to serve in the military. He was stationed near the border with Gaza when Hamas attacked on October 7, 2023. Back in his New Jersey hometown, a crowd of hundreds gathering to watch as their friend, neighbor, and former classmate was handed over to the Red Cross.
Don's a fighter. This is a family of fighters, and Yael has been fighting from the beginning for her son. And so as happy as we are, I'm happier to see her reaction.
The release came with no strings attached. This does not grant a guarantee a pause in the fighting or the return of any Palestinian prisoners in exchange.
This morning, we continue our coverage of the Abundant Life Christian School shooting. The father of the teen shooter is out of jail this morning, released on bond. On Friday, a court commissioner set Jeffrey Rupnow's bond at $20,000. Court records show Rupnow must wear a GPS monitor, have no contact with Abundant Life Christian School or be near it, and cannot have any firearms. He is accused of allowing his daughter to have easy access to guns despite knowing about her mental health issues and concerning activities. Rupnow's preliminary hearing is scheduled for June 9th.
The man accused of abducting a pregnant Beaver Dam teenager is now federally indicted in Arkansas. Gary Day is facing several charges, including transportation of a minor to engage in criminal sexual activity and production of child sexual abuse material. Day also faces state-level charges in Nebraska and Wisconsin. He's accused of taking Sophia Franklin from her home in Wisconsin in February and taking her across state lines. Day is scheduled to appear in an Arkansas courtroom on the 27th. His arraignment hearing here in Wisconsin is set for June 3rd.
We want to share some developing news about a fire in Watertown. Jefferson County Sheriff's Department confirms the fire is on Wakota Street. They say that scene is now clear. We still don't know if there were any injuries. Photos from our viewers show heavy smoke billowing from the building.
A fifth person is now dead after that horrific apartment complex fire in Milwaukee. Several others injured and are in the hospital, including one one-year-old. To escape, residents had to break windows and use tied-up bed sheets to climb out. The Milwaukee fire chief says the 85-unit apartment was built in the late 1960s before sprinkler systems were required. Investigators continue to search for the cause.
A Fitchburg family sorts through what's left of their barn after a fire. Early Sunday, flames swept through the Pliner family farm. The fire claimed the lives of their 4 horses, Colton, Shay, Archer, and Charlie. The Pliners say they can rebuild the farm, but their 4 beloved horses can never be replaced.
We have a special bond with them, and
they're in our backyard.
They're in our backyard. We have neighbors. I couldn't even believe the neighbors and how many have come out of the neighborhood to express their sorrows. And basically, we have a neighborhood in mourning right now.
The horses have been laid to rest next to the field where they spent their time together. And we now know the name of the woman who died in a crash on I-94 near Madison on Friday. 89-year-old Letitia Regala of Milwaukee died after a 4-vehicle crash on westbound I-94. Another woman suffered serious injuries, while 4 others have non-life-threatening injuries. Regala passed away at the hospital. The cause and manner of her death remain undetermined.
Around $13,000 a year. That is the average now for the cost of childcare for one kid in our state. And soon that could go up even more. Yesterday, educators and advocates nationwide participated in a day without childcare. Providers closed their facilities for the annual event to show the necessity of childcare. And after one day, we talked to a dad named Chris who could not imagine another day without Art House Preschool.
I don't think we would be able to find, 1, just childcare quickly, 2, it being affordable, and then 3, also making sure it's people that we trust. Our daughter wouldn't be where she is today without going to Art House.
Last week, state lawmakers cut $480 million in child care counts funding from Governor Evers' budget proposal. When it runs out of funds next month, child care centers say they'll have to raise rates by $25 a week, and 1 in 4 programs may have to close.
UW-Whitewater plans to launch a new master's program in elementary middle education. The program will help bachelor's graduates earn a teaching license for kindergarten through 9th grade. Courses will be offered online over 2 years and cover a range of school subjects. The program will end with a full-time semester-long student teaching placement. Applications are now open. UW-Whitewater will start the admissions process once it receives final approval from the Department of Public Instruction.
UW-Madison expanding its degree options in the arts. Come fall of 2026, more Badgers will be dancing around Bascom Hill. The new master's program will have 2 tracks. Students will be able to get their MFA in creative research, culture and practice, or screen dance. Screen dance combines dance with digital media. It exploded post-pandemic. Applications for the inaugural class open up this fall. The first class will coincide with the dance department's 100th anniversary. UW-Madison was the first in the nation to offer a dance degree in 1926.
As the weather warms up, you might be thinking about driveway paving or repairs. But before you start, the Better Business Bureau is warning about asphalt paving scams. So here's how these scams usually work. A contractor leaves a flyer or shows up at your door claiming they've been working in the area and noticed your driveway or sidewalk needs repairs. They offer you a discount, but if you agree, they'll ask for a large payment up front. Often, once they get the money, they disappear without doing the work. So to protect yourself, the Better Business Bureau reminds you to be wary of unsolicited offers. Research any company before hiring. Get all agreements in writing. Stagger your payments and use safe payment methods.
The NFL announcing a Week 16 doubleheader. We'll see the Packers take on the Bears at Soldier Field December 20th. That same day, the Eagles and Commanders will play. Remember to tune into News 3 Now. Tomorrow night, that's when the full NFL schedule will be released.
A champion has been crowned in this year's Wisconsin Fat Bird Week. The spherical, a white-throated sparrow, took the title, winning 72% of the vote in the final round. Its opponent, the rotund ruby-throated hummingbird, finished with 28%. The Natural Resources Foundation of Wisconsin hosted the contest to raise awareness for bird conservation. Voters also learned tips to help protect native songbirds.
Well, how about that? The Fat Bird Contest. Huh?
There's a contest for everything, and I'm learning more so by living in Wisconsin now, almost for the past year. There's contests, the water. I'm still stuck on the water. The tap water contest. It really, that just.
You still can't get over it.
Can't get over it. Can't get over
Right.
it. Yes, but one of many things that you got to do. I love it though.
Congratulations to this year's winner of the Fat Bird Contest.
Well, let's check in with Jacob. What's coming up?
Well, we're going to see pretty nice weather today with a small chance of rain, but an alert days in the forecast Thursday. I'll talk about that coming up after the break.
Also ahead, the shocking scenes from wildfires devastating parts of Minnesota.
You're watching News 3 Now this morning. Moving forward.
Well, in northern Minnesota, they have their hands full with 3 wildfires. 2 have grown to more than 1,000 acres. One is the Camp House fire. It's 1,250 acres. It broke out Saturday in Alt Township, about 40 miles north of Duluth in St. Louis County. Several dozen residents there had to evacuate.
Well, these people have lived up here for years, and it's where they live. It's a livelihood. I mean, everything they got is here, so that's why it's so scary.
As of Monday evening, the sheriff's office estimated that at least 40 structures are destroyed. Let's check in with Jacob now. He's been tracking the situation in Minnesota, and we have high fire danger here, Jacob. So how does this all tie in together?
Well, we are going to see that fire risk, especially for areas north of Madison in the northern portion of the state, but it's actually even higher further northwest in Minnesota and the Dakotas, where the temperatures are a bit warmer and it's a bit windier, along with the fact that it's been a bit drier. Here in southern Wisconsin, not really dealing with the winds, and it's not quite as dry here, which is why the fire risk is not as big of a concern. But even in the central portion of Wisconsin, the northern portion of our viewing area, there is a pretty high fire risk today. So just because we don't have red flag warnings in effect doesn't mean that we don't have that fire risk. Now, we're going to continue to likely see that fire risk through early Thursday, where we're going to continue to be warm, but again, not very windy. So that is the good news. But we are going to see those strong storms, which will bring a good amount of rainfall Thursday evening, which will help the situation. And we also will be much cooler by the weekend, which will also help the fire risk. Now, as we take a look at that alert day, which is for Thursday evening, it's mostly in the afternoon and evening hours. Mornings should be dry, but that dry weather will help fuel the severe weather for the evening hours, and there's a slight risk for just about everybody for the possibility of severe weather. Most likely hazards will be strong winds and large hail. Can't rule out an isolated tornado either. So let's take a look at that rainfall forecast for today. Just a few passing showers, maybe an isolated storm or two, but any place that does see rain will see it very briefly and probably not very heavily. Now, as we get to the evening, we'll likely see a little bit more drier conditions with some clouds developing tonight. And then for Wednesday, although we'll see more sunshine, we have another small chance of rain, but again, a lot of the area may not see any rain at all. For Wednesday night, more cloudy skies, clearer skies further west, but as we get into Thursday, we'll start out sunny, but later in the afternoon, we'll start to see those showers and storms move into the area, probably around 3 to 4, and from 4 to 8 p.m., it'll move from west to east across the region, bringing in some possible strong winds and large hail. Best chance for Dane County to see that severe weather will be around 5 to 7, maybe a little bit after, and then places east of Dane County will see it around 7 to 8 p.m., clearing out by around 8 to 9 p.m., and then impacting Milwaukee during that time, and then pushing off to Lake Michigan by the time we get to 9 to 10. So as we take a look at the temperature forecast after the storms, it is going to be a lot different than the next couple of days. Highs near 80. Friday will be that kind of in-between day, and then for the weekend, we're going to see high temperatures in the 60s, and that's going to continue for much of next week. A few days next week, we may even see highs in the upper 50s with a good chance of rain by the middle of the week as well.
Jacob, thank you. Switching gears now, in the 608, the Dairyland Games are back in Verona this week. This event offers athletes with disabilities an opportunity to compete in track, field, swimming, and powerlifting across a 3-day competition. Joining me now is Deb Jinks of Dairyland Sports and Hayden Smith, an athlete competing in the games. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So Deb, first and foremost, for those who aren't familiar, what are the Dairyland Games and how did it get started?
Yeah, so our Dairyland Games started in 2016. Kind of a legacy games out of the junior nationals that were here for a couple years. We saw a need that there was not any regional qualifier in the state of Wisconsin for kids with physical and visual disabilities. And so that's where Dairyland Games started in 2016. We had 25 athletes that first games. Now we're a 3-day event with 3 different sports, and we're growing. We have probably 75 athletes coming from 5 different states this weekend.
And different ages as well.
Yeah, we're now a full youth through adult, and we have veterans. You'll see everything from 7-year-olds, newbies, to future Paralympians and veterans that are coming to compete for a senior division.
Very good. And Hayden, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got into adaptive sports?
I actually started in the first Dairyland Games in 2016. I started with just track in my everyday chair, but then I evolved into competing every year. I do track, field, swimming, sled hockey, and I've tried powerlifting. I actually compete with my high school in both track and swim.
Okay, you're very busy then.
Yeah.
And so once competing in these games, they can go on to the next level here, right, Deb?
Yeah, some of these athletes are trying to make national standards to make it to LA in 2028, so that's pretty exciting. And also a lot of the kids that local, like Hayden, they can use this meet as a qualifier for the state WIA track meet.
Wow. And so Hayden, what would be your message for other people with disabilities who may want to get into something like adaptive sports?
I would just say keep looking for a sport that interests you, as there's a lot of opportunities, a lot more than you may think, and it can really be a fun opportunity not only to compete but to also socialize with some people that may have similar interests.
Yes. And so of course, I know this takes a lot of work, so are you still looking for volunteers?
Yeah, we have a few slots open, so go to our website at dairylandsports.org. And you can check out what we do at Dairyland Sports, and if you have any interest in joining our crew.
All right, and of course we want people to come out and support these athletes,
yes,
cheer them on, win the wear, and all the details there.
Yeah, so it's this weekend in Verona at Verona High School. It's Friday night is our powerlifting. Okay. Saturday morning is our swim competition from 10 to 12, and all day Sunday is track and field. So come on out and cheer them on.
Yes, lots of opportunity to cheer on these athletes. Hayden, best of luck to you out there.
Thank you.
Yes. And of course, remember to let Josh know what inspires you in the 608. You can reach out either on social media or email us at in608@WISC-TV.com for a chance to be featured. Again, Deb and Hayden, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
Well, coming up in the morning sprint, we'll take a look at the fast food chain planning a summer hiring spree. But first, if you have a little kid turning 3 soon, please let us know so we can share their picture on TV. You're watching News 3 Now this morning.
.653 time for the morning sprint.
This morning, more than half of Wisconsin's counties are facing elevated fire danger. Right now, Marquette and Greene counties are under a very high fire risk. Columbia, Sauk, Iowa, and Grant counties are under a high fire risk. Dane, Green, Rock, Jefferson, and Dodge counties are seeing moderate fire risk. And in northern Wisconsin, some counties are under an extreme fire risk. Officials are urging everyone to be extra cautious, avoid burning outdoors, and report any signs of smoke or fire immediately.
President Trump's in Saudi Arabia this morning, kicking off a 4-day tour of the Middle East. He will soon attend an investment summit after meeting with Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince. President Trump also hinted that he might take a detour to Turkey. That's if Ukrainian and Russian officials move forward with high-stakes peace talks there on Thursday.
The father of the student who carried out the shooting at Abundant Life Christian School is out of jail this morning, released on bond. Court records show that Jeffrey Rupp now must wear a GPS monitor, have no contact with Abundant Life Christian School, and is not allowed to possess any firearms. He's accused of allowing his daughter easy access to guns, despite knowing about her mental health issues and concerning behavior. Ruppnow's next court appearance is scheduled for June 9th.
The man accused of abducting a pregnant Beaver Dam teenager is now federally indicted in Arkansas. Gary Day is facing several charges, including transportation of a minor to engage in criminal sexual activity and production of child sexual abuse material. Day also faces state-level charges in Nebraska and Wisconsin. He's accused of taking Sophia Franklin from her home in Wisconsin in February.
A fifth person has died after an apartment complex fire in Milwaukee. Investigators are still working to determine what caused the deadly blaze. Several others were hurt and remain in the hospital, including a 1-year-old child. Nearly 100 people have been displaced by the fire and are now receiving help from the Red Cross.
McDonald's planning a big hiring spree this summer. They want to beef up their workforce by up to 375,000 employees. The company says the new jobs will be permanent and that the uptick in hiring accounts for high turnover during the summer months.
House Republicans have unveiled their long-awaited tax plan. The proposal includes several of President Donald Trump's campaign promises, like eliminating federal taxes on tips, overtime pay, and car loan interest. The bill also calls for Congress to raise the debt limit for several more years. Another key part of the legislation would extend the tax cuts first enacted in 2017.
Today, the ex-girlfriend of Sean Diddy Combs is expected to take the stand as part of his sex trafficking trial. Yesterday, prosecutors showed jurors video of Combs beating her at a hotel in 2016. Other witnesses began testifying this week as well. Combs has pleaded not guilty to multiple charges. The trial is expected to last 8 weeks.
And here's a final look at your 10-day forecast. Next 2 days, small chance of rain. Overall, fairly dry, still mild, upper 70s to lower 80s. Even warmer Thursdays. We'll see sunny skies early and then that severe weather possible in the evening, which is why we have the alert day. And then it'll be much cooler after the rainfall Thursday. 60s for the weekend and next week. Could even see some days where highs are only in the upper 50s next week, as we are going to see some rain by the middle of next week as well.
All right, so enjoy it while we can.
Yeah.
All right, Jacob, thank you.
Have a great one.